Fine. Thank you, Moj, for being on with us. Maureen, Monica, Joseph, Katie, saw you on the welcome email.
Thank you.
Welcome to Calabasas.
Thank you.
Very cool. So we got the team here today. Our first four, we focus really on being the real estate expert. And part of being a real estate expert is really knowing your own goals, right? Like before you can even say, hey, I'm going to specialize in land or commercial or residential or luxury. The very first step is to know you. It's to know like why you're even doing real estate. Why were you in this company, and specifically Keller Williams Calabasas, Keller Williams? Why are we here doing what we're doing? Well, we could be at home doing something else or pursuing another business. There's a reason why we're here, right? And once you discover that reason and find that reason, like internally, it was for my wife and I not to be broken. That's what got us into real estate. Super simple, right? Let's get off the welfare, let's get off the WIC, and let's just crush life and live life on our terms. That was like probably the easiest, simplistic way I could put it. And it was so funny you were asking me today, like, what's your vision? I don't know, but I described it as being able to, at the time, get my kids to school, our kids to school, being able to pick them up on relatively on time, and then being there for all of their events that kind of pop up. And then it evolved, right? It was like from dance to scouting to Girl Scouts, all this stuff. And now that vision just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Today we're going to be covering entering into lead generation. It's broken into 5 subjects. So today and Friday, we're going to cover generate your leads, grow your database. Next week is all about capturing leads through open houses, social media, and then capturing more leads, essentially through networking and farming and other sources. Now, there's a book out. It's called Shift. It's written by Gary Keller and Jay Capizan. Oh, no worries. And that book, believe it or not, came out in 2007, right? Right when we were entering the last time we had the greatest recession of all time. Real estate really took a giant hit. And 2 of their biggest chapters are based on open houses, right? You're always going to meet people, investors, first-time home buyers, whatever, coming through there. And it was capturing leads through, it wasn't social media, it was internet aggregation, right? So you would capture your leads through website domains and stuff like that. If anything, it's gotten easier. And if anyone was here for Sonia's class, she probably broke down how simple it is to create one, right? Like once you get your profile set up and you get your Instagram, your business page for Meta, for Facebook and Instagram into settings, you can literally create ads off of listings that aren't even your listing, right? So there's so many ways to do that. Today we're going to get into the general concept of generating leads, and this would be you. Let me remove this. I think it's just the handful of us on the interwebs right now.
So she's gonna go over that the next class.
Oh, is she? Okay, cool. So I sometimes do one on the Tuesday or Thursday morning that I get to share on board mindset. We usually tie a mindset piece right into like lead listings leverage. The idea of like, hey, let's generate leads. Let's have a focus on listings, and let's leverage technology or leverage our partnerships. So you are the lead generator, the lead generation model. You're going to see this a ton in Keller Williams and in just in successful businesses. Your sphere of influence, Monica, you've been doing really good, and I'm not just because I'm your husband telling you this, but seriously, you've been working your sphere, as uncomfortable as it may seem, and expanding your SOI, lead generation, best practices, and we'll get right into recaps and ahas. Aha. All right. My fear of failure was greater than my fear of lead generation. Can anyone relate to that?
Yes, that's a great statement.
Yes, it is. Me going back to my mom and saying, Mom, you were right. You know, can you help me invest in getting my nursing license? That was fearful for me than just saying hello to people.
I think, I mean, as we all are in the lead generation business, I think we get so many rejections, and am I doing the right thing? Am I going the wrong way? So yes, it is. You have to get past the fear of getting rejection from time, whether the customer can hang up or slam it on your face. I would say the best would be to have a little bit thicker. I speak about it to myself as well. Get a little bit more thicker skin and continue what you're doing. And because I had a lead system I used to call, I mean, if 10 people, 20 people would hang up on me, oh, don't call me. And then someone would say, oh, yes, I'm interested. And you follow up with that. So it's a matter of letting you know yourself, mindsetting yourself that there should be no fear of
It's also reframing, right? I mean, we're not asking people hey, do you want to sell or not sell, and I'll never talk to you again, or do you want to buy or not buy, I'll never talk to you again. If it's no, it's more like, hey, how can I be a resource for you? Thank you for taking the time to be on the phone with me, Joseph. And, a lot of people might be calling you about your house and about the market and doing all sorts of crazy things. I'm a realist. I believe you're likely not going to sell your house. But if you happen to know of anyone in the neighborhood, I'd love to be a resource for you and for them. Hey, what can I do for you over the phone that can make your life easier when it comes to your real estate?
Exactly, that, the other thing I was just gonna make a comment is even the person you're talking to, they might be defensive, that, oh, I don't want to sell my house or whatever, but you can always ask them for referral. Referral would be easy because they know somebody who doesn't know anybody, and you can be their resource to be able to do it.
Oh, yeah. And on this note, I mean, when you reframe it, it makes things a heck of a lot lighter. And then when you're thinking, in my case, like, oh man, going back to my mom for like one more run in nursing, yikes. I couldn't picture going down that road and then missing out on picking up the kids when we wanted to, living life on our terms and scheduled. That to me was the piss. So I actually did make cold calls. I didn't get as clean as we have it now when we're talking to people. But at that point, making calls, and then I kind of figured out what to say to like minimize rejection or minimize that feeling of, oh, now I got to make another 99 of these. There's ways to kind of convert it, and you'll see through this. The 6 core competencies of business. So we covered this early on in being a real estate expert. The first one was, number one, across the board, lead generate, capture, and convert to appointments, right? A doctor cannot have a practice without patients. A law firm cannot exist without clients who are willing to pay their premium. Criminals, yeah. Hey, they're not all criminals. Come on. Misunderstood, it was baby powder. Half of it was baby powder. Funny story, we had friends who were attorneys, and they called him the luckiest drug dealer ever. He drives to Chicago, gets like all this cocaine, drives it back, gets stopped in California, and the highway patrol thing, yo baby, we just got a trunk full of coke, right? Luckiest guy ever. When they tested it, like 95% of it was like baby powder, And then there was like one brick that was actually cocaine. So instead of serving a 30-year life, 30-year sentence, he got 5 years or something. There's some crazy slap on the wrist. But his dad bailed him out. I think Wade and Michael probably charged $1 million for that case. So maybe more. I have no idea. Number 2, present to buyers and sellers to get agreements. 3, show buyers and market sellers. 4, write and negotiate contracts. Coordinate the sale to closing. That's number 5. And 6, manage money. There's an argument made that 2 through 6 can literally be delegated. High five, Maureen, operations director. So Maureen's our operations director, and I kid you not, number 2, 4, 5, she can crush with her eyes closed, right? Like the showing buyers, market sellers, we can kind of delegate that portion out. But the lead generation portion is where all we did was one thing, and such that by doing it, everything else is user unnecessary. That would be the lead domino. Lead generate, capture, convert to appointments. Everything else can be partnered with, can be hired out, can be built on through a business model and through a great relationship with people like Maureen and Monica and the rest of our squad. But if you get number 1 down, everything else becomes easier. So if you can generate $2 million worth of leads, people buying, selling real estate within a year or 2 years, nothing can stop you, or whatever your goal is. So that goes back to knowing the goal. The goal genuinely, let's say the goal is 200,000, but we're speaking out 2 million, but not doing the actions to get there. We're out of alignment internally with us, right? Whereas, hey, my goal is 200, and then you do enough to make 400, you end up making 200. Whereas, hey, you're saying you're gonna do 2 million or whatever, it's a giant goal, but then you kind of quit along the way because, oh, well, I'm so far off from hitting that number. Right? Lead generation features in this. I think lead generation is really difficult. I don't have the time to lead generate. I don't know what to say. I'm afraid of making mistakes. You two are fairly new. I mean, you're back in the industry. Armand, you're totally new. You just passed your license. And Maureen, have you guys ever felt this way about lead generation at all?
I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Actually,
No, that's great. How about you, Mom?
well, I don't have time to regenerate. I feel like, we have been in other business for 10 years before, you know what I'm saying, right? Sometimes we were so in a rush to make the next dollar that we think that lead generation is a waste of time because you're always having
Always thinking of the next.
the next one, but in reality, lead generation, whatever that means, now, like you said, social media, right, you have made it so much easier now. It's what's gonna eventually turn into your, next payday or whatever you wanna see it as. But I feel like that's where a lot of us have stopped, like, oh my God, lead generation, again,
Yeah, even after you get that client.
I mean, it just, again, having the fear of being rejected, whether it's on the phone or, belly to belly type of thing. I don't know, I mean, you and I can relate to that one really well.
Oh, yeah, I could really tell for.
Yeah.
Joseph.
It's funny, you asked that question, or Gary Keller, wrote down there. My previous couple of brokers that I spoke to, it was obviously a smaller group, but I told them that lead generation is the name of the game. It is 100% is what we are. I mean, we know all the inside, just like doctors or lawyers or engineers. Everybody has a knowledge that you know a lot more than the client. But the name of the game is lead generation. You have to whatever fear that you have to go past that and get into lead generation, because unless you have somebody giving you a lead, but if you don't, you have to lead generate. That's the name of the game. I mean, if you have to make call contacts nowadays on social media or email, or if you some other way that whichever way you get the leads, either they're soft lead. I like to call them soft leads or hard leads, or cold calls or soft leads. If they have any interest in buying or selling real estate. So lead generation is the name of the game.
Oh, absolutely. And and it's a weird dichotomy, if you're lead generating all the time and you're not getting better at your craft, like we just came from the network luncheon, and it was all about, why we incorporated and the proper incorporations for realtors or just people in business in general. If we're not growing that muscle, it's almost like the lead generation. You have to put so much effort in to get even like one appointment out of it, right? But if you put in time, like you're putting into Ignite, you probably got net productivity coaching, you've got like different classes happening. You were at luncheon, we were at the luncheon, Monica's at luncheon. Those training opportunities make us more confident, secure with ourselves and what we're delivering to the client, that the client's like, oh wow, yeah, I'm so glad I'm working with Philip and the team, whoever, right? So it becomes more of a reason to prospect more. Like one of the 6 personal perspectives, number 5 is learning for income sake, right? For growing sake. Oh, thank you. Oh, you get brownie points. Yeah, it's hot and there's like a cube of something in there. So thank you. Appreciate it. I like an itchy throat.
I'd like to add one more thing on lead generation. I think I'd like to backtrack and say practice makes perfect.
Mhm.
The longer you're at it systematically, whether it's like going to exercising at the gym, the longer you do that, the first maybe few weeks or a month, it may be difficult for you. But after that, you want to do it because you see the results. So the results may be a little delayed,
Oh, yeah.
but the longer you do it, the longer you practice, the longer you connect with the customer, it becomes easier. You will get your lingo down and your spirit strong to make the reason.
Oh, no doubt. And something that really made a difference for me is learning that I didn't have to lead generate for 9 hours a day, right? And it was given to me early on and I kind of fought it. But when I was getting interviewed by Eric Delgado, he said, hey, to get your calls done by 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock. He said a bunch of stuff. I won't repeat exactly what he said, but it was like, whoa, bro, I'm married. But yeah, it was, hey, go hiking, basically. 12 o'clock rolls around, go for a hike, go for a bike ride, go have lunch, go play with your kids, whatever, right? But the idea was like, if you got your work done early in the day, if that was your main one thing, and we understand that lead generation, you get new clients, everything else, you just have to protect that time, right? So if you ever look at our time blocks, it's, we start calling at 8:30, 9 o'clock on other days, and we build from that point forward. I don't know what to say. I had to get on the path of mastering the dialogue skills needed in the business. Part of that is skills and practice, drill, rehearse, scripts and role play. That's, hearing conversations about how top people, quote unquote, top people overcome objections. That might be understanding how to convey a story of what's happening in the market. This is something from Jim Rohn. He said that all communication is, and all sales is communication of telling a story and relating a story to somebody. I'm afraid of making mistakes.
This is a big one for me when I first started, because I
great.
wanted to like be that resource for them
Mhm.
and wanted them to be able to come to me with any question and I would have the answer.
Oh,
But I didn't want to I didn't want to not have the answer. I didn't want to have the wrong answer. I didn't want to say the wrong thing. So this one was a big one for me in the beginning.
oh, yeah. And you come from a teaching background.
Right.
So it's like, hey, well, how come the teacher wouldn't know, right? The teacher needs to know everything.
And it's okay to not know it. You just have to say, well, even if I don't have the answer, I know where to get the answer.
Absolutely. Gary Keller's thing, his first listing he said was, he said name people, but he was basically someone who was like 3 times his age in Austin, Texas, or in Texas. And he said, well, that's a great question. And honestly, I don't know the answer to it. So what I can tell you is that I can get you the answer, get it back to you. And at the end of the day, I can still help you get to where you want to be. Now, aside from that, is there any reason you can go ahead and get started right away? And they said, no, he signed the paperwork and he got the listing, right? His first one, or his first one where he felt like, yeah, there was a lot of question. And the last one, I would just say, fail forward. I don't have my notebook with me, it's in the car, but it says fail fast, fail often, fail fast, fail forward, right? And in real estate, we're not failing in a way that causes tremendous failure for our clients, right? We're not letting people just go out and sell houses and sling listings. You're working with a mentor, a productivity coach, a group team, the whole office. Our broker Rich, who is Hawk, he was on me like white on rice when we first moved over here, which was a great sign of how committed he was to the integrity of the office and the business. So this is our sphere of influence and an income opportunity around that. They're going to go right into an example. You took the number of contacts in your phone, in this case, like 250. If you went into the potential closing opportunity, and so they're using 0.081% or 0.081, and then potential referrals from that base, 10% clip, right? So you're saying an 81% clip of closing opportunity within your cell phone, that'd be 20. If you only got 10 referrals that year from your database of 25, you would essentially have a potential base of 45 transactions or unit size sales. Now, granted, it says 5,000. I mean, our average sale price, even with the market decline, is 800,000. And I would even argue it's higher depending on where you're selling. I mean, if you're selling exclusively in Calabasas, the average sale is still 1.4, which is insane. And then your potential opportunity income here is 225,000. And remember, we have a cap, but let's say it was $10,000 your average commission, just double this to 450,000. And I would argue with the cap and everything else as our average price point, this could very well be $850,000 as an income opportunity off our cell phones. Now, I will say I fought it for a long time. And even though this was explained to me in the first year we were in Keller Williams, I fought it because I thought, no, it's supposed to be harder, right? If I'm going to make that much money, I need to go through the pits of the valley in order to feel like I've earned it, right? It sounds so dumb, right?
It's true.
So, like, it can't be that easy, right? That, like, where's the treacherousness? Where's the volcano that I need to surpass? All this stuff. And it's so simplified, right? Like if we collectively and Moj too, if all we did was work with people that will take a phone call from us, we're halfway on the football field. Anyone saw maybe more, yeah. I mean, okay, let's say Monica and I weren't in real estate and you are, and you called us. We would take the phone call. B, we like you. So like off the bat, like phone call, conversation, reconnecting, 3/4 of the way there. So you know us. We know you, we like you. The only thing we have to fill in is, do we trust you with real estate? It might not be on the first call if you're brand new, it might just be an introduction to the idea. So your first, if you want to call it a scripted dialogue, is ring, ring, ring. Hey, Philip, it's me. Just wanted to reach out to you and let you know that I'm now into real estate. How you been? Oh, I've been great. How about you? Wow, real estate. Yeah, I saw the post. How you been? How's the market? Blah, blah, whatever I say. I'm going to have 2 or 3 questions, or I might not have anything at all. Your question to me is, hey, Philip, as I get my business and career going, is there any way I may be the top real estate person when it comes to your real estate needs? Whenever you're thinking of buying, selling, or investing, or someone else you know is thinking of doing it, do you mind keeping me top of mind? Yeah, absolutely. And that's your first call. Your second call, if you program if you program the quarterly call follow-up, depending on when that call falls, let's say it's going to be December, we're going to do a bunch of holiday calls. Hey, how are the holidays treating you and transitions into the new year? By the way, market at the moment update, that could be interest rates are now at an all-time high, whatever they are by then. You know, quick market update. Hey, once again, if there's anything we can do for you, I know a lot of people in this industry. Just let me know. We'll help put it together.
As I get my business and career going, do you mind?
Oh yeah, as I get my career and business going, would you mind just keeping me top of mind when it comes to your real estate needs and for the needs of your friends and coworkers? And that's probably friends, family, and coworkers. That might be a mouthful to throw out there, but you can shorten it and make it yours. I just kind of want to introduce them to the idea of referrals, but not saying, hey, can I have a referral?
Yeah,
Right.
keeping in mind for your
Friends,
Friends,
family,
neighbors.
coworkers, real estate needs. And now keep in mind, you might not get the referral and the deal on the first call.
yeah.
This is based on an ongoing relationship and communication with them, right? And you attend classes like, keep saying like, I gotta stop saying that. We're gonna do a class on loans with include down payment assistance. Well, as that class is going, write down 5 people, at least 5, maybe 10, but at least 3 to 5 people that you feel like after this class is over, I'm gonna call
Yeah, I
and
have
introduce this to that. Yeah.
I'm friends about that.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, there you go. So, you know, you come from that, and at least 5, if not everyone that's a buyer, quote unquote, or in the market to buy. And and you'll get better with this, but always asking, hey, in order to purchase this home, you need to sell another house.
Mhm.
You know, maybe get a listing out of it too, right? So hopefully this portion here kind of plants that base, your database. Let me skip ahas. I want to get right into the lead generation model, the one thing we're going to see over and over again. So this is the process. It looks silly right now, but if we master this portion here, you're going to save 8 years off your life. So I feel I finally got this yesterday on a call with Coach Rose. So it finally made sense what we're doing. And all it is you're generating leads, like Joseph was saying, lead capture, prospecting, and marketing. Your database is not a piece of paper. It's not a stick-it note. And it's not even your phone, right? Like put the basic information in there, but genuinely keep KW Command or an actual formal realtor database. Now I'm gonna play devil's advocate because I always do. And you're gonna say, well, what if I leave Keller Williams? How do I, you know, all that stuff is there. Leave Keller Williams is totally fine. There's actually a way to export everything out of it. So like all the notes, all the little things you put in there, there's an export feature that actually allows you to pull it all out and transfer it to wherever you're moving to. So don't think that, oh, well, I'm gonna move one day. Yes, we all move to some degree, but just be assured that there is a way to bring that data out. Okay. So once you're in your database, you're going to capture leads. It's called relationship management in this process. You're going to capture leads through relationship. You're going to make contacts through existing relationships and strengthening those relationships. It might be a birthday card as you update their date of birth or birthdays in there. You possibly pull that from Facebook or just for your personal knowledge of the person. You're going to cultivate contacts for conversion, interactive and needs-based offerings. So this is where when we learn something new, like zero down or down payment assistance, we're making those calls out there. Maybe we're taking a lender's flyer and rehashing it with co-branding with our information and sending quote unquote a timely email to our database. You know, there's going to be a lot of touches within that space. And please remember that making a contact isn't making a new contact. Contact could also be making a second, third, or fourth contact with somebody that you've already had an interaction with. Because your business, our businesses will be based on new and repeat conversations. And very rarely will you pick up a cold call and meet a couple who's going through a divorce and they need a neutral realtor. I use that because it worked once. They needed a neutral realtor and I was their guy. So Brian Simmons, you guys remember him on the file. So he essentially worked with me and we became friends through that process and still are friends. because him and his wife needed someone they didn't know, like before them going through what they were going through. Ironically, he took my idea of not selling the house at the time and refi the house to buy her out. And then he ended up selling it for more, so good for him. Oh, that was cool.
Yeah.
There you go. And then guess what? The referrals and the past clients, once they become a client, they become past clients, they go right back into the database system. Now, we're not gonna get into events and all the deeper stuff, but just initially, just think of it as, hey, I'm working everyone in this database, right? And they're gonna come back and I'm gonna be able to maximize 10% referrals, 81% opportunities. I'm looking at a full-fledged real estate business of helping 123 families a year. I know it says 45, we're gonna go from 23 here. All right, cool. Awesome. So I kind of hit this portion, this is the lead generation, prospecting, and marketing aspect. So your lead generation system or your lead generation is predicated upon marketing, which you do in the afternoon, prospecting, and follow up in the morning, right? Never ever fall for the trap. If you guys are making calls here, there, wherever, and people are working on flyers and working on getting your open house flyer right, don't fall for that trap. Focus on making those contacts, right? The flyers, give that your after lunch energy. Your initial energy in the morning, the stuff that's going to win your day is making prospects, making contacts, following up leads, lead follow-up, and scheduling appointments. Okay. When you look at this, the very top of our prospecting and marketing pyramid, immediate results. When you're prospecting, proactive and time intensive, the marketing comes at long-term results. It's passive and it's money intensive, right? And a lot of the marketing can also be delegated. As crazy as it sounds, Monica, I never really had a marketing plan until last year when we hired our virtual assistant, right? We did very, very little marketing, if anything. It was social media posts and really calls, one-on-one events, stuff like that. Let's see here. Database, the smart database. So this is where what we kind of hit on, cultivating contacts for conversion, really building those relationships over time. Command when you get back into Sonia's clients. Let's see.
Sorry.
No worries.
It's so scary because of COVID, every time it's like, oh God.
No, it's all good. It's all good. If you want, I can open an door and like let air kind of circulate. But what do you call it? On the idea of cultivate contacts for conversion and that database, think of it as a community, right? It's not just a geo farm, which you can hear a lot of agents talk about. Think of your entire database as a large farm. Some people might live 5 miles from you, 10 miles from you, 20 miles from you. Then you're gonna have the one-offs or a bunch of folks who live just like in another state. Don't discredit them either. I would make calls to them as well and say, hey, this is Joseph calling. And as you know, I'm a realtor here in Southern California. Philip, I know you're in Florida, but friends of yours and friends of mine may be moving both ways. You know what, if they happen to be moving this way, you might, letting me know. I'd love to help them with their real estate. Or here's another pitch. I hate people to pitch, but I use it a lot. Another conversation is, hey, you may or may not know this. I'm with Keller Williams Realty, and we happen to have 2,000 market centers around the world, right? I know you're based in Chicago, but we're very close friends. If you happen to have a need, believe me, I can play realtor matchmaker, and you really can. There's like a whole filtration system for it. And you can match them up with a realtor based on the disc profile, based on production, based on specific neighborhood need criteria, and you can call and interview that agent before referring your best friend or referral out to them.
I just want to comment what you said, Randy Bell, with my prior broker. I think between 10 to 20% of his leads were from people who were out of the states.
Yep.
And they were very critical. There was no fussing around. They were short on time, and they can maybe come. So you have to be very careful. Short on time, they want to see the property. Sometimes even they can buy the property by just looking at the internet, and they're willing to do the transaction. So don't give away the fact that out of state people, they're very important.
Oh yeah.
And because when they come to here, they sold all their assets perhaps, or maybe they didn't. They're going to come to California and they want to buy something right away. So they just want to land the first deal here and possibly second or third.
100%. Yeah, and on that thread, it's leads and contacts. So making sure that you're generating those leads, and if you call someone out of that area, it's always going to work itself out and work itself through. Let's see here, relationship management, we'll pass over that, types of communication, phone call, email, text message, face-to-face, KW app. I should probably move this over. Handwritten communication, there you go. A fabulous book was written, read it, 7 levels of communication. Forget the guy's name, Keller Williams agent, once upon a time. And I say once upon a time, he retired. He's now focused on send out cards and doing that line of business. But he had his real estate business and built it off of handwritten notes, right? So his whole thing was after finalizing a call, he would send a handwritten thank you note. In the book, he writes, and this is what he did in real life, he picked a farm, which was an apartment complex across from the condo that he lived in and owned. And he got the title data, and I don't know how he ended up getting like all the tenants, names, but he had all of their names and he handwritten the notes and eventually was able to make it more automatic. But for 12 months straight, he kept sending them a golden letter. Well, first it was like a handwritten card, then it was a letter update, market update, all this stuff. He says in the book, goes on to sell half of the tenants within 2 years of a brand new house. So he converted an apartment farm into people who bought, and then guess what they did? Like to that time, the conversion rate was 5 to 7 years of selling the property. They were moving up in an escalating market, so they sold their home, they converted them to rentals, and they bought more real estate. And as you go through, the lifetime of a client is potentially, if you get them in their 20s or maybe in their 30s, 40s, there's still the lifetime of in their 20s, 10 transactions, 20 transactions to be made in the lifetime of buying your first home at 27, 28, all the way to selling and buying your last home at 72, right? Or if you're in your 30s, then you still have the opportunity to transact in one deal, 15 to 22 transactions, right? Not including investment property. And we'll do a breakdown on that another time. And by the way, one little hack on the 10 contacts a day, we count two-way text messaging, direct messaging. So if you DM somebody, like Monica, what was your text again? It was a thank you text, but along the line of introduce the idea that you're in real estate. And so if someone interacted with you, we count it as contact. And I don't want to keep filling the blanks, I'm asking that.
Oh my goodness, yes. When I passed my exam, I know he gave me a shout out. I put my own shout out. His mom put a shout out. So whoever commented, I was love the message. But then I passed professionally messenger them and saying thank you so much for your for your awesome message. Thank you. Just so you know, my husband and I were being real estate together for 8 years. We're here to help you out, something in those lines. And I got a lot of feedback. And then just like going back and forth. And I mean, some of it's gonna take some time. But the communications are already opened up and all that stuff.
And you can also replace it. Let's say I wasn't in the picture and you were just starting your career and I was your coach instead. You would say, hey, you wouldn't say my husband and I with years, I've been doing this for 8 years. You could even say, hey, I'd love to have your support and I'd love to show how I can earn your support over the next however long, right? That I'm doing this business. So then it's like one flip of a sentence and that still applies and you're still working within this this lane of honesty, right? Because some people say, oh, I know everything. Bro, you got your license. So, and then it's not very integral when you say stuff like that. There's a difference, there's a power behind being authentic and just saying, I won't know everything, but darn it, between the 300 agents that I work with here, we have 1,000 years of real estate experience or some crazy number when you add it all up, right? So there you go. Client and referral loop literally repeats the process. They go right from referral and repeat business right into should just minimize this. There you go. Go right into referrals and they go right back into your database, right? Never ends, is best when time block determines the size of your business, right? I just got an aha moment. I should rename some of my time blocks instead of just calling it hour of power, call it like database or something. I don't know, something that's like focused in, okay, boom, 10, going into the orange book. All right, ahas, I think we're working right through it. Your sphere of influence, is everybody, right? We did a coaching call and the center of the bullseye. Oh, we got our topic for tomorrow too, guys. Besides be like water, we got our topic for the morning call. So thank you guys very much. So you picture a bullseye target, right in the middle is your core people, right? These are all the folks that no matter what you do in life, they're going to support you. They have your back. You could be selling ice machines. They will be the first ones to say, hey, you need an ice machine for your restaurant, talk to Monica, talk to Maureen. But whatever it is that we're doing in life, they got our back. Right outside of that might be past clients. And if you're like, well, what do I do past clients in real estate? Replace that word with your past associates, your coworkers that you used to work with. If you were in sales, maybe you do have a past client book that you can go back to. And then as you get out further, it is your general SOI. These are people that you know everywhere and anywhere. But specifically, I would target what you call your strategic allies, allied resources, people that you already write checks to. Maybe you got a cool hair person, maybe a nail person. I'm looking at Monica. Well, you kind of are mercenary. You go different places. Maybe there's someone you've always bought your cars from the last couple times. Those are the folks that they've actually made a profit from us in a good way, right? It was a mutual kind of exchange, and you know they have a database. You're building your database. What if their database became your database, and vice versa? Now you've kind of gone from 250 to 1,000 or whatever that is. These are some of the categories. You can go from immediate family and friends, relatives, neighbors, past coworkers, hobby, sport groups, teachers, worships, clubs, volunteer areas. Like Monica are in scouting. We have to know a lot of those parents from the kids' school, financial legal services, all the way through other real estate services. And don't count out number 13, the real estate agent part. As weird as it sounds, real estate is a very transient type of business, right? So the people you meet today, the people you met 10 years ago, may not be here 10 years later, and the people you meet now won't be around in 5 to 10 years, just statistically, right? Statistically, we're one of the worst industries when it comes to retention. We are a churn and burn industry where people hit their financial goal and they're like, cool, I hit it. I'm going to go use this money and go do something else. And that's a beautiful thing about our business, is that you don't have to be here for 40 years to like become quote unquote successful. You can be, there was that one kid, he was our rookie of the year when he came around. He sold a $2.5 million home. So
He was like 19.
yes,
He was like barely able to get a license.
yeah, and he sold a home at a bar. So I don't know how he got into the bar there. So he's at a bar and he runs into a former boss. Former boss says, hey, I didn't know you're in real estate. I want to buy this house. It's like a $5.5 million home, right? Then his parents needed to sell a house, $2.5 million home, and then they need to buy it. So long story short, he quit afterwards because he made so much money. He was done. He was a college student. He didn't need to do it. He would probably come back one day and say, well, you know, I sold $10 million of real estate going to a bar, you know,
And
so
he sold it in like not even a year.
yeah.
I mean, it was like.
Yeah. I'm struggling like with welfare and WIG, and this kid's like, I just sold a $5 million, I'm going to a bar, you know, like, yeah, that was interesting. They interviewed him too, and he's like, yeah, it was just at a bar and right place, right time. Yeah, that sucks. You know, like, geez. Like, come on, man, they lie to us and tell us you went to like 10 bars. Yeah, tell us you went to 10 bars and you were networking and mingling and you were failing through it. No, I ran into my old boss. Yeah, I had a fake ID, you know, and got it. But so I say this. Yeah, exactly. So I say all this stuff saying that, hey, he's not necessarily in the business anymore, but hey, he needs to refer business to other people.
Yes.
And even if you gave him a 25% referral because he's like hung and active somewhere, cool, take the 75%, pay the 25%, give him a shout out on Facebook and Instagram as the process is going and as it closes, because now his sphere becomes your sphere, right? And if you deliver really good, these retired agents, like we're working on, we're basically recruiting them to our way of doing things because they're 70 plus years young, right? They're not going to be doing this forever. And we offer a system that says, hey, what if you made 40% or 50% on deals for the next 10 years, right? And on the second generation, you get X% and so forth.
Smart.
Yeah, pay that out all the time because now we're going to get those referrals from those clients.
That's smart.
And now they essentially have that that golden turnover, golden handshake, or God, there's a word for it. It'll come back to me. Golden transition. No, there's an actual name for that.
Golden transition sounds good to me.
Yeah, in Remax, they do that. They teach their younger
really?
agents how to take over an existing person's farm,
Oh, I didn't know that.
and they have a contract agreement.
The same thing.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, Pinnacle's huge on that because they protect territories
Yeah.
and they're aggressive. I love it. Categorizing your sphere of influence. Monica's like, oh, you have to think of kids. I do. So this is where I'm like relatively getting them on time. Not joking. Build your SOI, your sphere of influence day by day. That. Change the way you look at things. This is a bold law. So if you guys from Ignite take bold at some point, this is the objective life by design. Change the way you look at things and the things you look at change. I've been asking Monica to start looking at me differently. Turn into a 6'4", curly hair, bronze, beautiful man.
That's funny enough.
I'm trying to describe like Jason Momoa. One with the ocean. But no, seriously, like look at how you view things. Can go from, oh God, I don't know anybody to, wow, I have the world at my fingertips. I know 7,000 people. One of them might be Jason Momoa. I'm probably 2 degrees away from knowing him and selling him a house. Or selling his divorce code house. I don't even know if he's from LA. Expanding your SOI. So Monica follows him on TikTok, right? She sends me a video of his TikTok, and I'm like, holy smokes, he's at Fallbrook. It's like he's like skateboarding, and he's got like, wasn't wearing, he wasn't wearing a short, he wasn't wearing a shirt, and he was only wearing like very visible pants. That's what it was, like awkward. Expanding your SOI, add more personal information to your SOI. So finding out what clubs they're into, like, do they play games or, are they scouting, just different things about them. So then you can surprise them to life. That's a later topic. But the birthday aspect, finding articles that they may be into, like scouting adventures and stuff like that. Best way to do it is just ask. That's where the fail fast, fail often, fail forward concept comes in. Because you can never say the wrong thing to the right person, right? Meaning like, hey, you're building a relationship with someone, and it's a professional relationship. It isn't like this weird, like I'm going to date everyone in my database, relationship. It's just asking about what interests them, what interests their kids. It's being human. Right? What a concept, be human in a sales business, in a real estate building relationship business. Strengthen casual connection. There are people in our lives we're going to see on a recurring basis. Because of kids' events, because of life, family, this is what we call family and friends, church, other places. I never pitch, I never sell, right? But I'll always say, people ask me how are things done, and I'm like, the standard answer, you're always positive. Market's great, you're positive. Market's not so great, positive. Tell me, well, really, what's going on? And then they're giving me a permission to talk to them in a realistic way, right? Let's go backwards. Join groups that will connect you with people with similar interests and values. Go back to knowing what you enjoy most. If you enjoy hiking, go to meetup.com or meetup groups on Facebook and join a hiking group. And who cares if there's a bunch of realtors in it? You enjoy hiking, that's your thing.
Pickleball.
Right? What?
Pickleball.
Pickleball, there you go. I don't know what that is. I have to Google that later on.
I don't know what it is either.
Yeah.
I think, depending how large your circle of influence is, the two brokers that I have, they joined outside organizations that that they could join. For instance, if you want to be a member of a club or something like that, 2 or 3 of them, even if you had to pay a little bit, but you meet a circle of people, and then they may have professions that may be different than real estate agent, and you depend on the real estate agent. So eventually, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 would join, would maybe contact you and want to do business.
Absolutely.
And then it will pay for, 10 years of subscription.
And keep in mind, you're talking about expanding your contacts and relationships.
Yeah, it's kind of.
Again, and doing things you enjoy and having conversations with people along the way,
Yeah,
believe it or not,
yeah.
is profiting in a sense, right? Here's a question. I'm building my business on people I know and the people they know. Do you know if anyone from family or friends or work, your neighborhood group that you belong to? was thinking of buying, selling the home, investing in real estate, I'd be pleased to be a resource for them. You know, if you put yourself out there, Nicholas,
Who would you get that? What was, where, is that in here?
I believe it is, but if you want, you can snap a photo of it too. I'll just put it here. Here's a take that and Pete just jump in. We're in like the last 2 minutes, but and it's recorded, so we have a lot of fun moves. If you hear someone with real estate needs, keep me in mind and let me know right away. So like real simple Q&A questions.
Did you text that to somebody or speak that to somebody?
I would prefer you speak it. I would personally speak it.
Okay.
You know, or depending where the relationship's at. I mean, I probably said this to my brother.
Okay.
Yeah, then he knows, like, oh, this is my brother asking me for that quarterly referral. I can talk to my brother. We give each other a hard time. Lead gen best practices, track your lead sources, audit your leads, diversify your database, and be consistent. I can actually just end it right here. Because if you track your lead sources, you'll know where to put your unfair attention towards, right? Like the moment I realized I did an audit of our sales and said, wow, like 80% of it came from people we know or like in those different circles. Why am I spending 80% of my time making cold calls and door knocking, cold cans? And I wasn't even farming. I was just like randomly trying to find buyers and sellers through that process. Like, oh, the jungles of Vietnam, trying to find, you know, the Viet Cong in that mix, and I was finding nobody, right? So if you track your lead sources, you'll know, okay, let me dedicate more time to this network group. Let me take this networking group out because we're just drinking all the time. We're not actually talking about business. Diversify your database by just getting out there and finding out people from Facebook. You know, Facebook is a good one, for your cell phone, and just be consistent with your messaging. Time block your lead generation time. If you use 3 hours, prepare. So mindset practice call list, that could be 30 minutes. Take action into your conversations. That could literally be an hour or 2 hours. And maintain, add them all to your database and follow up. Yes, block an hour or 30 minutes of your morning towards nerdy stuff like inputting your notes and time blocking on your command when you're going to follow up with them. So if you think about it, 30 minutes of prep, 2 hours of conversations with coffee breaks and bathroom break, high five. And then maintain the last 30 minutes to an hour database and follow-up list. That's 3 hours of your morning blocked off right there. And if you started at 8:30, ended at 11:30, high five, the rest of the day is yours. Go on appointments, knock out kid stuff. Emergencies happen, so you have to do things in the morning. Well, move the 3 hour block to the afternoon and off you go. Battle distractions, protect your time blocks, build a bunker, meaning have your snacks here. You know, don't put yourself in a position to want to walk to Rite Aid. Get your snacks, just have it in your go bag. That's store provision. Build a bunker, excuse me, is have a space if you're working here at the office where you just got your stuff sprawled out and you're in the zone. If you're using one of the day offices or desk or standing here or using the hallway or that area out there, have it there. Maybe put a sign up, hey, I'm lead generating, they're bothering you. I don't think we're really bothering each other out there. Sweet for minds, meaning before you're even getting into prep, know where the emergencies can come up. Usually it's with the kids. Right, so knowing that kids are safe in school and we cleared for our emails, that kind of helps us sweep our minds. And then last, enlist support. You know, one of the things we did was hire her mom to watch our son, right? And then there's other forms of help. Maureen runs our operations, so that's like on a whole nother level. But early on, enlisting for help was me talking to my wife and saying, hey, I know normally we have like a lot of stuff that comes up in the morning. There's some way I can have this period of time just to focus on calls. That was a crappy ask of you early on, but it paid off, right? Okay, so guys, thank you guys so much. Don't forget your 10 conversations, 10 contacts added, 10 handwritten notes, your 10-5-1 social media engagement. We always have opportunities for enrichment, such as the event we had today at the Sagebrush Cantina. It's actually like a fight club. We never actually promote it, never really talk about it except in moments like this. So it's one of those things where we do it on the first